All right, here we are 4 steps out of a 645 jump from Ashira Collins from UCF. So this is the touchdown point at 4 steps out. So you see at this touchdown time, the free leg is advanced a little bit of the knees. The knees aren't together. There's in front just a little bit. Then we go into the mid stance here, and we see the free leg is well out in front. So some of the things I'm looking for here, you see the shoulders over the pelvis, over the ear, pretty much of a straight line up and down. Everything's on top of each other. There isn't any big arch in the back. The pelvis is pretty neutral. If you can get into this position, some people call it like a figure four position, then you're in a pretty good posture here. So this is my checkpoint where I look for how we did in the early part of the run, and if we created a good posture, create it to help us create a good takeoff and get ready for takeoff. So here we're moving through here. Right here, this is the last normal step. The one thing you want to see is like a subtle little bounce in her steps. So I like to use something in the background like this line of the track could be useful, or look at her head in relation to this brick wall here. So if you watch here, this is the lowest point here of her steps, and then as she's flying, that's the highest. So you can see her head is almost at the top of this. So setting up that nice bounce and vertical up and down really helps us set up a good takeoff and amplify it when we're going to do the penultimate and the takeoff. So pretty nice running here. Another thing you want to see in this step is it's not a complete extension of the knee at that touchdown, at that takeoff moment. You see a subtle bend in there. Now, around 4 steps out is when someone is starting to steer, so they can tell how far away from they are from the board, and they can make subtle adjustments. So you see she has a subtle bend in her knee here. When she does this next step, you see that leg lock out like that. So she's probably sensed she's just a little bit out from where she'd want to be, so she's pushing a little bit on that step. She still makes really good posture and has a good position for this step too. So she did a good job of making up for her small error in the back of the run to get on time here to get a nice takeoff on the board. So you see that again, really nice posture on here, hips over shoulders. She's a calm position. You see in mid stance here, the knee is well out in front. So now she's moving on to the penultimate. So it's really important that you run through this step. So you should see the thigh go behind the hip a little bit here, and that step sets the hip flexor group on a bit of a stretch. A lot of people will try to set up the takeoff, the mechanics and the penultimate by not running through this step. They kind of jump on the penultimate or squat on it hard. She's doing a good job of running through this step. So now all these previous step we see on the ball of the foot. Now this step is the penultimate. We see a flat foot coming onto ground contact. So this is a 30 frames a second. So it's missed this exact moment of touchdown here. We see we're off the ground a little bit, and then a touchdown. You should see the shin pretty much vertical. Another thing I'm looking for here, again, posture, ears on top of shoulders, on top of hips. We see the takeoff foot here. The right one is swinging lower than a normal step. So here's a penultimate. If you watch it here on this earlier step, we see how high that is. It's tucked under the butt, and that's really good. So by here, if the quad leg is swinging through a little lower like that, that means that the quad is on, and it's getting prepared for takeoff. People that have a very high heel onto their butt tend to slam their foot on the board and do a lot of braking, and it's pretty hard on the knee. So it is good mechanics can help you last a lot longer as a jumper, keep you healthy, and also lead to better jumps. So now she's moving through this one. As you can see, she's keeping fairly level when she moves through. She's lowering towards the board, or she is staying pretty much stable. You can watch this head position on here in relation to this back fence line. So she's landed here on the penultimate, and she's moving through to the takeoff, and her head doesn't really rise above that hedge over here. So we want to see a level or a subtle lowering here. Another thing I'm looking for, she's planted her foot, and you see the knee kind of she's rolling through. Some people will call this a bridge position, where the ankle stays 90 degrees, stays pretty firm, and the person rolls over it, and you see the toes curl back a little bit. So nice position here. Again, excellent posture. She hasn't thrown her head, is still looking forward. Shoulders are on top of the pelvis. Now we're moving on to the takeoff here. You see an incomplete push off on here, and that's quite normal. So she's lowering onto the takeoff, puts her foot flat. So she's got a really nice position here, not too far. That's probably about an inch or so, so pretty much perfect positioning on this jump. So one thing I always look for is you want to see her move forward and then up. So she plants her foot, her knee is resisting, and then she is moving forward, and then she starts to rise significantly once her hip pelvis passes her heel, but not before that. If I block that takeoff, I'm going to go straight up almost right from that touchdown, and you're going to see that the pelvis rock over the foot a little too aggressively. So we want to move through and then up. So we see really nice extension here. You see the shoulders rise a little bit. That helps again on the takeoff, put a little more force into the ground. You see your eyes are looking forward. That's another mistake that people make sometimes, throwing the head too early, and it makes you take off kind of vertically, and you don't finish the push off when you do. You'll get good extension like this in a nice angle. I like to look at the hip to the ankle angle, just to get an idea of what that jump was. If you block it, the angle could be really sharp here. Blocking a takeoff is hard on the knees and the ankles, and it doesn't lead to a better jump. By moving through the board, we can carry a lot more of a horizontal velocity. Another thing I look for is on the takeoff. Now this frame, she's already left the ground here. You see there's space in here, and this one. So again, like the limitations of just having 30 frames a second here. So another thing I look for is that the ankle is behind the knee at the takeoff. If we've blocked the takeoff, that lower leg will often swing out, especially someone that does a hitch hang kind of style. So see that. So this is off the ground. It's just starting to swing out. So she executed this quite well. All right. So there's what I look for in a jump takeoff. If you have any questions, shoot me an email or send me an Instagram post. It's easy when you see these things. It's cool to know what to look for. The hard part is getting your athletes to be able to do this. So that's where the art of coaching and the experience of a great coaching eye comes from.